Hey everybody, this is Renae from The Space Between, and you are listening to The Space Between podcast, the show that lets you listen to how the fans feel about the music, the art behind over 30 years of the Dave Matthews Band. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between podcast. I am Renae. Today's episode is going to be slightly different than any episode that you've listened to before, simply because this episode is a celebration that I didn't even know we were ever going to get to celebrate, a celebration that we have been doing this podcast for a year now. And so I cannot believe that it's been a year that I've been able to keep it going. But honestly, it's because there are so many amazing stories from the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. And again, this is what this podcast is all about. So to change things up, this episode, again, like I said, is going to be completely different. So my editor, Andy Mendoza, which I do want to take time out to just thank him for being alongside of me for this past year and believing in what I'm doing and helping me along the way. So Andy, thank you so much for everything that you've done. And so Andy has put together a highlight video along with a blooper reel, because if you know me, you know that I like to talk, but I also just kind of ramble and go off on my own tangents. So the blooper reel should be fun to watch. I have not seen it yet. I've requested to get to see that when everyone else does, so that I can cry in private because I embarrassed myself. But today we have Aaron. Aaron has been another Dave Matthews Band fan that, again, has just helped and supported me and has just really been such a good friend through all of this. So Aaron, thank you for joining us today. Yeah. We are just going to do a quick Q&A just to talk about the last year. And instead of me leading that conversation, I thought I would let someone else. And so Aaron, thank you so much for being willing to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you kind of burst onto our scene, our Facebook scene, as this woman doing a podcast that really nobody knew anything about. And right? You would tag people as like at everyone. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how the first foray into the Space Between, everybody wanted to like it because it looked like a cool new experience for everybody. So when you first started that, like what were your thoughts about, like, obviously you found a niche for it, or like a space that needed to be created, no pun intended. But like, what were your first thoughts about some of the reaction that you got from the fans initially?
I mean, I think in the very beginning, people were kind of unsure of what it was I was doing exactly. And to be completely honest, I think I was fumbling around trying to find what would work, because I started this podcast really very selfishly. It was a creative outlet for me because I was in a dark place in my life, and I needed something that was going to bring me light and bring me joy, and something that has always, of course, outside of my family, they're amazing, but like outside of my family, something that I could have for my own was to talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band, because that is where I've received so much of my joy and love and support from. And so I started talking about the fans, and then having fans come on the show to tell their experience. And so as it's gone on, I think, it is now known for what it is, which is definitely just telling the story of the fans. But in the beginning, I mean, I think with any new project, people are like, what is it that you're doing? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Or what is it that you're trying to sell me, right? Like that's always kind of in the background of like, what is she doing? And so I hope that it's very clear what I'm doing now, just trying to document this amazing group of people that I feel like should go down in history. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're doing a great job, but also, in listening to some of the previous podcasts, even the most recent one with Daniel Bauer, one of the things that we've all kind of talked about is the different phases of this year's tour. And yes. I know because I met you the first weekend at tour opener, and then was also with you at the tour closer at the Gorge, and then saw you in Charlottesville for the fall tour. So in those different experiences, I know you got to travel and see so many different venues and parts of the country, but that first couple of weeks where we started in Texas and went on to Nashville, etc. Tell me about that experience. I mean, I remember specifically being at Josh Roberts' 500th celebration in Wilmington, and interviewing and filming a lot of people outside of there. Tell me that first sort of cross country, southwest, southeast journey. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we started in Texas. And again, I always like to say this in the very front, 2023 is not going to be a model for what I get to do every year. 2023 was a very special year, one that I'm so blessed that I got to do 24 shows. And that's not normal for me, nor will it ever happen again, probably. So I say that to say, we did get a chance to start in Texas. And I feel like that was important for the story I was telling, because yes, I'm talking about the fans mostly, but the fans' reaction to the band changes throughout the tour season. And so I got to go to the first 10, and the stories changed all through the first 10, well, we've got to hear this, what is next, right? And so, but then all of the celebrations along the way, like you said, Josh Roberts' 500th show, so many special things, all of the guests that we've had this year. And so, my story has definitely changed throughout the tour season. I definitely did like a lot of pre-shows and post-shows where we did talk about set lists and guests and things like that. And that's not necessarily what this podcast is about, because again, we talk about the fans. But I feel like during that tour time, when we were at the shows, not only did I talk about the shows, but we had other people that were at the shows talk about them. And so again, it's just fan opinions, fan perspectives, the fan side of the music, right? So I love statistics. I love all of the things about the band. I love digging into who they are as personal people. But my hunger is to tell the story of the fans. And so traveling this year really did kind of paint a better picture for me, if you will, like what it looks like to be a traveling fan, because there are so many fans that do travel all of the time, every year, to see this band. But then, of course, there is the fan side of people that don't get to go to shows that often. And then, of course, there's the fan story of fans that never go to shows, because you can be a big super fan with a love for this band without ever going to a live show. And so I want to be able to bring each story to everyone, because everyone has such a different fan story and what brought them to the band.
No doubt. I would never ask you to tell us what your favorite story was, because I know that's impossible.
No way.
A year, over 60 episodes, I think we're at 60, almost 60, yeah. 61, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to put into context like what your favorite story were. But there had to have been moments for you, either personally and or professionally from a podcast standpoint, that created the most buzz, or that felt a certain way to you, or that just when you look back on the year, there's got to be a few moments for you that stand out above others.
Absolutely. And, it's funny because when I talk to my guest, typically when I'm recording is the first time I hear their story. But I think that's really important to not have a staged reaction. And so I want to be hearing the story for the very first time, just like the listeners when they hear it for the first time. And so, there have been some heart-wrenching stories. I just recently talked to a lady who's been a fan forever, but she has found so much support through the community after the loss of her husband. And now through her daughter has leukemia, and how much this community has supported her. And we all like to say, because of a band, because of music, all of this love has just created these beautiful stories around horrible life circumstances. So, that one will stick out forever, just because it was so tragic and so hard, but around it all was love, right? And that's what makes a hard story lovely. But then, honestly, for me, just getting to meet people, because I'm such a people person. I love meeting people. I love hearing people's story. And so really that has been the best part, is meeting everyone and getting to know them on a personal level rather than just a music level. And so, selfishly, that has fed my soul, is getting to know so many people. But also, I joke, it makes me feel less crazy. I'm not the only diehard Dave Matthews Band fan, right? Like there's other people that feel the same way about this music, and it has impacted all of us in very different ways. And so
there's definitely safety in numbers, right? I always think about
Yes.
some of the connections that we've all been able to make. One of the moments that stands out for me, Charlottesville, on Saturday morning, we all decided to go to the vineyard, and my particular crew got up really early, and we thought, let's go early. We'll be like the first people there, and then we'll get in and we'll get out. And when I rolled up, I saw you and a dozen other cars already there, parked on the side of the road with donuts and mimosas. And I just thought, like, this is the only community that turns a vineyard into a tailgate. Somebody
Hell
had a
yeah.
large flag flying from the back of their car. There was a cardboard cutout of Dave there. Like, I thought it was amazing. But enough of looking back. What we want to do is kind of look forward, right? So,
Yeah.
we finished a year. With any kind of luck, and a little bit of hard work, you might make another year. What do
I
you
don't
want to
know.
accomplish, in the coming months, weeks, days? I know you've got love on the horizon in some of your upcoming episodes of
I
podcasts, but
do.
how do you want this journey to continue, and how do you see it evolving in the next year, potentially more?
So I won't say it's my only goal, but my first goal in doing all of this again is just documenting the fan story, because I really do think that music history is something that people study, that people know about. I mean, we've always heard about the Grateful Dead fans, and even, of course, they're still around now. I really want for our children's children to be talking about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band, but I also really want, in a small way, and I think that the band already knows, I really do believe that, but I want everyone to know about this community, because I think that it's rare. I think that it's unique. I've never heard or seen anything like this. And so I feel like we live in a world of bad news, bad news, bad news. And my job right now is to remind others that we also live in a world full of love and care and support and hope. And so that is my goal, is to remind people that there are still good people in the world, and there's still amazing things happening. And for us, it's because of a band, which I don't think a lot of people give music enough credit, to what it can do mentally, physically.
Yeah,
I mean, it can heal, it can
yeah,
restore, it can do all of those things. And so that's my goal. But outside of that, I really do want to continue telling. I feel like I haven't even made a dent in the story yet.
okay,
And partly just because this
right,
is all new and a lot of people don't know what I'm trying to do. So I think just getting the word out of, hey, I know a girl that wants to share your story, because we all want to share our story, right? We tell people
yeah,
left and right, like, oh my God, you'll
yeah.
never guess what I did at this concert, this person that I met. And so this really is a platform for people to be able to share their story to people that want to hear it. Really, they
And that
do.
will understand. You
And
said
that
it
will
earlier,
understand.
like, it makes me feel less crazy. If there
Yeah,
was ever a group of people that will understand that you called in sick to your job and bought a last minute concert ticket and a flight, even though you said you couldn't afford it, and then showed up at MSG, there's a group of people that will understand that. And that
absolutely.
is, there's safety in numbers, right? It's
There
solidarity.
is. There is. And I mean, there's some big things that are happening in 2024 that I already know about that I can't talk about,
Right.
because I've been told I can't talk about it. So,
Sure.
guys, hang on. There's some great stuff ahead. I'm so excited about the possibilities of what this is going to do. And again, this is not my career. This is my passion outside of my 9 to 5 job and my 4 kids and my husband and keeping the house clean and all the things that we have to do every day that we love.
Yes.
We're so thankful for. But this is like my, whatever your football team or whatever, like this is mine. And so I really hope to continue to tell the story. I hope more people reach out to me and say, hey, you're never going to believe what has happened because
Right.
of this group. And I want to be the help to tell that story. So that's really my only goal, is just to make people aware of what I'm doing. And I think, again, people need to hear positive stories.
Yeah. I think we're definitely on the right track.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, I want to say thank you to you and
Yeah.
to everyone that has just, again, stood beside me and said, we believe in what you're doing. How can I
We're
help you?
Always, always rocking it. I just wait for people to ask me, like, why a 47-year-old man is wearing a pink friendship bracelet. It gives me an opportunity to talk about it. So there you go.
Yes, well, thank you. And so, guys, if you're listening to this, thank you so much. Number one, if this is your very first episode of the Space Between podcast, know that this is not a typical episode. I don't really like to talk about myself, but I thought because we're celebrating a year of me producing this show that we would just talk about why in the world I am doing this, what my mission is. And so, Aaron, thank you for helping me to kind of tell my story. But guys, stay tuned because, again, like I said earlier, Andy Mendoza has put a video together of all the highlights that I've had over the past year. And of course, there was no way that I could tell every story in this short highlight reel, but I've just had a blast, and I'm so thankful again for everyone that has helped me along the way. So guys, stay tuned to this. And if you're listening to this on a podcast app, just know that you can check it out on YouTube and you'll be able to see the highlights rather than just hearing them. So it's YouTube. It is just the Space Between podcasts. So Aaron, thank you so much. And guys, stay tuned because we're headed into the part where you're probably going to laugh at me, and I'm okay with that, guys. So again, stay tuned. We have a new episode every Friday, so stay tuned. You never know what's coming up next, guys. Aaron, thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Renae Lipsmeyer with the Space Between podcast. I am here at the opening event. This is the one we've all been waiting for. So this is the opening of the U.S. tour for the Dave Matthews Band. So we're here in the Woodlands right now. I am here in Dallas for the second tour date of 2023. I am here in beautiful Rogers, Arkansas for the third stop of the U.S. tour. We are in South Haven, Mississippi. We are here in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm Renae Lipsmeyer. We are here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I am here in Camden for night 2. I am here in Holmdel, New Jersey. So we are here in Saratoga Springs, New York.
Okay, we're just gonna do multiple takes of this until I'm happy, and I'll let you know.
Is they like all up in my face? It could be like zoom back. I don't know. It would just be like.
Do you want me to make sure? Is it recording? Okay, we literally got. Are we recording? But we have to talk into the mic, or won't we? Are you recording? Or hold on, hold on, just 1 second. We're gonna take this part out.
You have to do.
Okay, Andy, edit all that out. We're showing up going, what? There's horse races here? We don't have a fucking clue about horse races.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Cincinnati.
What?
This is the 6th stop, right?
I think so.
That's right. So we're headed to Jones Beach. Jones Beach.
Christine needs cocktails.
Aaron needs a cocktail.
The bag bitches need drinks.
Part in the hair. Okay. Oh, we're still recording. This will be fun to edit out later.
Can you try not to make it too hard?
That's what she said, and yes. But
You can use those for the outtakes.
I don't. You can cut right now.
Night 2 at SPAC, which is the Saratoga. Just tell me what SPAC means. Performing Arts Center. Every time I'm like, what does SPAC mean? It's hard being a podcaster. Hey, it's 41 minutes till we get there. Happy birthday, dear Andy.
All right, guys. So every week we
So feel free to edit the fuck out of this because we're both like, when am I gonna go to South Africa? But I was.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. That's all I gotta remember. Everything else I know. Yeah. Okay. That'll work.
And it was an emotional song for you. Can you kind of tell us why?
So for that show specifically, I was 1 row behind the rail and loved every moment of it. But getting to go up for Crush, it was important to me because I have grown up on Dave. And my parents I have such a strong relationship with them. And that song, I'm going to cry. Fucking A.
It's okay. Dave can be emotional.
That song has always just kind of been a staple in my household, in my family, in my relationship with my mom. And no one around us, obviously. You didn't know me. You didn't know that. But being able to be pushed up for that show, for that song specifically, was so intense. This family, of course, is amazing. We love everything about this place.
I had two uncles that played, one on each side of the family. My mom's side, there was an uncle that played guitar, and then, of course, my uncle Tim, who was in Dave Matthews Band on my dad's side. Actually, my entire dad's side of the family all played me. They had a gospel band. They toured around. My grandfather played guitar and everything else. My aunt played piano. So that whole side of the family is probably where I got that from.
That's amazing. So tell us about your childhood. And of course, guys, if you didn't hear that, yes, his uncle is Tim Reynolds. So what does a childhood look like when Tim Reynolds is your uncle? Like, did you fall in love with music because of him, or was that something that was completely separate? And then that kind of tagged on with what y'all's relationship kind of moved forward with. What was kind of your interest in playing guitar? Was it because your family did, or did you find your own way? Just a little bit. So when you get to your first concert after the loss of your husband, and you hear, and I can imagine that any song after 84 shows together, any song that he could have played in that concert, was it tough for you, or did it make you feel close to him?
It did. And I didn't really expect it. I mean, I was with one of his best friends that he knew before me. He flew in from Houston. He was from Chicago. He was there, and then my best friend was there. No, at 100%. It lit a spark in me that I hadn't seen in a while, because if you keep in mind, 84 shows, but most of them were when we were like double income, no kids, and then of course we kind of kept it up, but not as much as we did before. But it really did. It brought back so many memories. It brought me back to the place of happiness that we had together when life was good and easy, and, before all the chaos. And so yeah, I dug into that. I literally checked all of our bucket lists. I went to Mexico. I did Madison Square Garden. I actually, so one of his dying wishes was to have his ashes spread in all of our special places. And so I took some of his ashes to the Gorge, and literally me and 4 girlfriends that I knew from, Oregon, Oklahoma, Tennessee, like all of these girlfriends that I knew just through Dave were with me as I spread his ashes up in the lawn at the Gorge. So
hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
I also am an author of a children's book called Hello, Heaven is Poppy There. And it's a true story of when I was 9 years old and how I dealt with grief of the loss of my grandfather. And it's told through a family of dogs inspired by my dog, Disco, who's the main character in my story. And there's actually, this is funny because there's actually probably over 30 references to Dave Matthews songs in that book.
Really?
They're all the main characters except for Poppy, my grandfather, and Disco, my dog. the characters are named after Dave Matthews songs. So my brother is
No
Crash, my mom is Raven, my grandma is Granny, and my father is Jimmy. And
oh my God.
yeah, so
This
there's
is
other
amazing,
references
Jason.
throughout the book, which I think if any of you, of your fans, or any Dave Matthews fan reads it,
Yeah.
they'll get a chuckle just from that, because they're in there. They're like,
the sunglasses are the sunglasses.
Tell me how you came up with that idea. Like,
know-
what was going on in your head before you created the first pair, and then the first pair you were like, were they for you? What's the story behind the sunglasses?
You really want to get in this?
I really do. I think that most people that watch this are gonna, of course, they associate you with the sunglasses, and so I feel like that's the story that people want to know, is like, how in the world did this happen?
Yeah, so I've been writing for a long time, and being in arts and crafts and different things like that, and so I have notebooks filled with just ideas of different things. And, with going to shows, I was like, this is great and all, but how can I lift that, like maximize your concert experience, and I came up with it in 2015, I believe. And I was just telling my cousin, like, what do you think of this idea? Whatever, And so I just went with it and tried my first ones were the band members. I Heart Dave,
Okay, yeah.
I Heart Carter, and just that set alone. And it was a lot of fun because I put that out and I didn't know I couldn't put it on certain pages, DMV
selling or whatever,
groups and whatnot. Yeah. So I just threw it on one.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened to have a lot of people in it, and it got deleted.
Oh.
But that whole night, along with like the whole week, my messenger, I mean, I don't think I slept.
What was it about the music itself? Because obviously you didn't know like the ins and outs of the band or even the people in the band. So what was it that really that got you?
Man, the lyrics, Dave's voice, he sounded so genuine. And it was unlike anything I'd heard. Of course, back in the 90s, which is in my opinion the best decade of music, for me it was right. For me it was Incubus and Wallflowers and all that stuff, of course. But this one hit different. All the other music, I was like, yeah, this is great music. This is good music. But Dave, when I heard Dave's music, it was more of, no, I feel that, or I know what he's saying, or I get that speaks to me. And it just hit differently, emotional level. And from there, it just sucked me right in. And man, that show I went to, the first show, I remember I think I told this story the last time, but just in case no one's heard it.
We'll tell it again.
I snuck out to go with a couple of friends to this, and it was in South Park Meadows in Austin, Texas. And now it's South Park Meadows, like a shopping mall, like a strip mall area. It used to be this huge like lawn, basically. It's all GA, and that's where you go and you would watch these shows. And I remember specifically going. I remember they opened with the Stone, which all in all, when you're getting that with an opener, was great. But in the middle of the show, they went from Dreaming Tree, which is one of my very favorites songs right next to 41. But they do Dreaming Tree into two-step, Angel Montgomery, then 41. Like all just pop, 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 pop. And that was it. Like it was, I'd never seen or heard anything like it. So, and I've been to every Texas show since that one.
So Matt, tell me about the pig hat.
All right, so I haven't worn it forever. It only really started somewhere around 2017 is my guess. It's a hat that I've had since 2011, and it's a custom hat, and I actually found it at a workplace. And I knew that nobody had, that you couldn't find this thing online. It was probably made on Etsy or something like that. And when I left that workplace, I took it, and I'm like, oh, I might use it someday. And randomly in I think 2017, I just started wearing it, and like it's been like nobody else has a Chef Pig hat.
No.
So like there's people like when I see people that are giving me high fives, or when I go to the gorge, I see people who are like, look, we've taken a picture every year at the gorge since this year, and they show me the other pictures. And and it's just like and the thing is like it can, some people would think it was embarrassing or whatever, but like with the group of people that were around, most people understand like that Pig's a song. There's a couple people that are like, oh, what are you wearing that for? And you can tell that they're probably not diehard fans, but the most people are like, yeah, Pig, and
Absolutely.
of course, like I got Pig stuff, I got bracelets, all this kind of stuff. I got a Pig tattoo last year when I was in Vegas.
I love that.
That I borrowed forever from a woman I met at Tahoe last year. I saw her, and then I saw her again actually this year at Bend, and I was like, hey, did I meet you at Tahoe last year? Can I see your arm? And then I showed her mine, and I was like, yeah, I took a picture of your tattoo, and I went to Vegas and had to put on my arm too. But
a tattoo connection.
Yeah.
Dave, so when it came to these shoes, tell me, like, what did you have a little bit of guidance on what went on the shoes, or was what you did to the shoes a complete surprise to Dave when you gave them to him?
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcast.
I had free reign to do whatever I wanted. And
awesome.
what I wanted to do, I didn't want it to be like a fan pair. It's got Dave's face all over it. It's got Dave Matthews all over it.
What I would do.
No, I mean, but would you want a pair of Andy Mendoza shoes that say Andy all over them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll take it. But I get your point.
Hey, we'll just hold on to your credit card after this. We'll talk.
Right.
Yes.
But no, I wanted to do something kind of take a step through, because I did a massive amount of research going in, when I was going in to make these shoes. I wanted it to be something that was recognizable, something that was very unique, very different, that, people hadn't really seen before. And, the embroidery work alone was probably about 6 or 7 hours, just total time trying to figure out the colors, where I wanted things to go.
I hope I can do this the same way. Okay, so I literally, again, on mushrooms, lots of weed, didn't know what I was doing. I held it together. Honestly, mushrooms was the best thing I could have fucking done before meeting Dave Matthews, because I didn't give a fuck about what I said. But what I did say was fucking amazing. Or at least in my head, I have no regrets of what I said. So here's what I said. Imagine you're Dave, you're watching me, I walk up to you. Hey, I have a podcast called The Space Between, but it's not about you. And he looks at me like, what? And I was like, my podcast is about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. And I go on to kind of talk about that. And at one point, like, his security guard was trying to get him to kind of go, but he looked right at me and he goes, after we had talked for a little bit, and he goes, I'm going to check out your podcast. And I cleverly say right back to him in his face, oh, you'll probably forget the name of it. And he laughs at me, and I'm like, it's called the Space Between podcast. And so, we laughed. We had that exchange of like, funny, or me trying to be funny. I don't know. I mean, like, here's what I know. Dave Matthews laughed at me. Yay! I don't know if that's a good thing, but also he said he was going to listen to my podcast. And also I don't think he'll forget the name because of the way I like worked it all out. And so, is that like the best meeting Dave story ever that's ever happened? No, but for me, it was fucking amazing. And I'm so proud of it. And I'm so proud that I was able to speak to this man who I've kind of like idolized, I guess, for such a long time. I was just so worried that I wasn't going to be able to get the words out, because I hear so many fans say, when I had the opportunity to meet Dave, or when I did meet Dave, I couldn't even remember my name or what his name was or where we were and all of that. And so those were my fears going into it for sure. But through the power of mushrooms and a lot of weed and probably some alcohol, I nailed it. I was just like, what's up, Dave?
I think it's amazing that this is what you said, Sloan, because right before you got on camera, I literally told these things to Kyle. I was like, I think the tour turned around in Deer Creek, and here's the reasons why. And so it's right? We're right when more than one person says it. So yes, Deer Creek is when this all
100%.
turned around. And I call that weekend like where we kind of learned the art of the fake, because in my mind, I had not heard such a blatant fake as when it went from Madmen's Eyes into Minarets, and then again from Satellite into So Damn Lucky. Like, it was just so blatant. Like, they were fucking with us, right? For lack of better words. Like, that is what they were doing. And I loved it. I thought it was
trolling.
Dave's a troll.
He's trolling.
Dave's a troll. He's a troll. He loves to I'm sure he loves seeing people run to the bathroom at the opening chords of Satellite, the opening notes, and then seeing everybody run back when he started So Damn Lucky. It just has to be something that there can't be a feeling that he can recreate that is that way. It's just this power he has over the entire venue, 20,000 people, and I don't know, it's amazing. I love seeing footage of that from the lawn at Creek, and Satellite starts, and you see a bunch of people running out of the upper pavilion to the bathroom, and then So Damn Lucky starts, and here they come right back. It's like amazing.
So next question is for you. How long have you been playing the guitar? How long have you been singing? And what is it exactly like, or when was it that you thought, hey, I do sound a little like Dave? Or was it someone told you that? Like, tell me how that was discovered and what kind of led you to getting into a tribute band, knowing that you did have that sound.
So I was into Dave Matthews when I was like a little kid. So that was like why I wanted to play guitar, was to like be like Dave Matthews, you know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to get a guitar. So the first song I ever learned was like Typical Situation, the first couple notes, And then, I played in bands here and there throughout high school and stuff. I never did any Dave really until I think like the end of high school. I tried out for like a talent show singing Bartender, and they were like, dude, that was kind of like Dave. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I just kind of sat on it for a long time. I would just play in my room by myself. And then it's around 2018, I started playing locally with some people, Dave Matthews music. And then these guys found me a couple years later, and then that was it. Yeah.
Was there a Dave before you? Yeah. So tell me, like, how did that grow? And then how did you decide to do this whole experience thing? And then just tell us, what the summer looks like for you and how someone can get connected with you.
Yeah. It grew. I had a plan that if I started my gigs after 10:30 at night, that they would be drunk before I went on, and then it sounds good that way because they don't know any better. But then I started getting older, and I had to start leaning towards the happy hour, But it's. So you got a kid? Yeah. My back hurts and my legs hurt, and I was just sitting there. I wasn't even doing anything. But the experience part, when I separated myself from the band and went acoustic, I think the experience part was bring people the music on a smaller scale, and let them dive into the music and the lyrics. And maybe they love it and maybe they don't. And just to be more intimate and be more of a storyteller, instead of being lost in the lawn somewhere with all these people yelling, just to be quiet and just kind of let the music soak in a little bit, because we know what it means. But I want everybody to kind of know what it means.
So I wanted to ask him this is your 10th year doing this here at Lebo. So I'm going to let you give a little bit of history of how that came to be and what that's turned into over the 10 years that you've been doing it here.
Yeah. So we started in 2009 at this very patio, which is right here. And we had one table of people. And over the years, it's gotten bigger and bigger. More artists have joined. And it's just gotten to where, it's where it is today. So a very large crowd and the biggest, I think it's one of the biggest Dave community meetups in the tour. And it's good to see everybody come out and support and the artists that come here and play for us and just the community coming out and supporting each other.
Okay, so this is your 10th year here doing the pre-show party. So tell me a little bit about the musicians, and was this their first year being part of this pre-show party?
Sure. So Nico and Jason and Matt have been here every year since 2009. And then Rob Messina joined us a few years ago. And then Josh Santiago, this was his first year joining us. And they all donated their time, and they did a really good thing for us today. And I always appreciate them coming out and playing for us at this meetup.
So there are a few friends that I ran into the pit for night 2. Again, Dave Matthews Band family, some of the most amazing people I've ever met. Now, night 2, I did sneak out of the pit and go back to be with my husband. And the timing couldn't have been better because we got a song that honestly took my breath away. It was called Just Breathe. And of course, it's a Pearl Jam cover that no one had ever heard Dave sing. And we got it night 2 at the Gorge. So I was able to share that moment with my husband. And then also I broke out the butterfly wings. So it was an amazing night.